Hello again. In this video I'm going to talk through my solar installation, what I've learned over the last 2 years and how I've gone from a simple off-grid system with a car battery all the way through to a fully grid-tied system with 3.2 kilowatts of power that we use on a regular basis. I'll walk you through how I've installed the panels and how I've mounted them on the side of the house, as well as on the flat roof on the kitchen extension, and also the lessons I've learned in the process, including the story of when a storm blew all the panels off my roof.
I love buying things from the auction, and this week I'd bought a large paddling pool for the kids. The only problem was that I live in the UK, which is cold and rainy most of the time, so using an outside pool is really only practical for about 1 week of the year. So I headed back to the auctions and I started hunting down parts. It wasn't long that I'd acquired 3 solar panels, a 1.5 kilowatt inverter, a solar charge controller and a 12 volt car battery. And that was everything that I needed to get started. So I got a 100 watt panel, a 150 watt panel and a 200 watt panel. So that was 450 watts in total. I hooked all the panels up to the charge controller and in turn to the inverter and the battery. And that was it. It worked. I think from that point on, I knew I was hooked. So I needed more power now and I needed to connect it to the garage. That was the next thing. I already had electricity running to the garage, so how could I inject this new solar power into what was already there? That's when I learned about the auto transfer switch, which will allow me to run the garage off-grid when the batteries have enough charge in them, and then switches back automatically to the mains power when the battery runs out, which was perfect. I could run the garage off the 12 volt battery, was my thinking, although maybe one battery wasn't enough, so I got a few more and hooked them up in parallel. I thought that'll do it. I also, at the same time, I upgraded the cheap charge controller to an Epever MPPT, like a 30 amp unit. This was far more efficient than the cheap one. I think the cheap one was like £8 off Amazon. I also figured it would be a good idea to see how much charge was left in the battery, so for that I got hold of a Victron Shunt and installed that on the negative side of the battery connection. I also decided that it was time to get the solar setup talking to my Home Assistant setup. So I found some tutorials, and I'd already done some work with microcontrollers for other projects, so I set up an ESP8266 sort of Wi-Fi microcontroller that could pass the battery state into my Home Assistant setup. Also wanted some visual feedback as well, so I added a little OLED display to the microcontroller as well, and with a few little tweaks to the software, it was giving me the real-time voltage of the battery. I 3D printed a little case for that as well, just to try and make it look not so much homemade, or as professional as I could get it. So a year has passed and I'm feeling a lot more confident now with my understanding of how solar panels work. I decided to buy 4 400 watt panels. These were by a Spanish manufacturer called 833, and they seem like good quality panels. I used the same approach I did with the smaller panels, and I built some wooden frames to hold them at a 45-degree angle. To begin with, I set them up on the patio just to test, which worked great for a couple of hours a day. Obviously, they were affected by shadows coming off the garage and from trees. I also bought a Solis S6 3.6 kilowatt inverter from eBay and wired up the 4 panels in series. I put in an AC isolator, DC isolator, all the protections that you would expect. So everything was coming together now. I'd integrated the Solis S6 with Home Assistant, and that was collecting data good. and I moved the panels onto the kitchen roof, which is when I learnt the second big lesson. I've now got 4 panels that are almost 2 meters by 1 meter in size each, at a 45-degree angle on my kitchen roof, held down with weights. I'd use like bags of gravel and some slabs, which was fine until Boxing Day evening, when I heard what sounded like a car crashing into the house. I ran outside to find all of the solar panels had been blown off the roof and had landed on the patio. It was night time, thankfully, so there was no power going through the panels, so it was a case of quickly disconnecting everything, shutting everything down. Amazingly, none of the panels were broken. The glass was fine, everything was fine. There was a few dinks and dents in the frame, and where it had been bolted to the wood, that had sort of ripped the aluminium a bit, but functionally all the panels still worked, which was absolutely amazing. If you'd have seen I didn't take any photographs, which is annoying, or any video, but it smashed the patio slabs and left some great big dents, but it just proves how solid and what good quality these solar panels were. So the lesson I learnt from that was, don't use 45-degree angle on a roof if you're not going to bolt them down or have some sort of really strong frame, which I didn't want to do because I didn't want to start drilling through the roofing material on the roof and risk having leaks. Lesson 3. The third lesson that I learned was to take your time. So it's always best to check and double check what you're doing. For example, I tried to upgrade the off-grid inverter from a 12 volt to a 24 volt one, so I managed to find a faulty inverter which I could repair. It just needed some MOSFETs and a surface mounted resistor to be replaced. So I'd fixed it, tested it, everything went fine, but then I was in such a rush to get it all wired up and I was getting a bit cocky with everything. I wasn't checking and testing, and I managed to wire it all up the wrong way and switch it on, and bang, it blew up again. So that was lesson number 2. It's like, no matter, even after you've been doing this for a couple of years, it's always worth taking your time and checking and testing everything. So this brings us up to date now. What I've currently got is I've got 10 400 watt panels at the moment. The first string is 5 in series, and those are mounted on the kitchen roof at a shallow angle so they don't get blown off again. I built a new, more permanent aluminium frame. I used some rails and then I've tied them together with a bit of aluminium angle, and they are rock solid now. I've got 3 panels that I mounted onto the side of the house as an experiment, and they've worked out very, very well. So that gives me a total of 3.2 kilowatts running on the Solis inverter, which is great. So on a really good day, they'll do even more than 3.2 kilowatts, which is brilliant. I also think with the low angles of the one on the roof and the vertical angle of the one on the wall, they work really well together. So I capture the sun very early in the morning, and I also capture a good amount of sun as we head into the evening as well. So between that, I can do over 15 kilowatts production in a day, and I imagine as I head into summer that's going to be even more. So, to sum up, I hope this has been of use to someone. I've gained all my knowledge from people sharing their experiences via videos and articles on the internet, so it only seems fair that I share mine as well. If you've got any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. I'm not an expert, and I would always advise you to seek professional advice if you're not confident in what you're doing. I've also got many integrations into Home Assistant, so the Epever is integrated into Home Assistant, the Solis is, the Victron Shunt, all of which use little microcontrollers. Maybe I can do some videos, more videos on those in the future. The Solis S6 one seems to be quite popular, albeit the quality of that video is not brilliant. Maybe I could redo that one, I don't know. Until the next one, I've still got more plans for doing more solar stuff. So I've got a garage roof that I can load solar on. I'm going to investigate doing some, I think it's called high heat retention storage heaters. I think that's going to be great. That'll be like an off-grid system where I can store all the sun's energy in a heat bank and then release it as heat into the house. I've also got a project coming up in summer for the pool. I've got 2 heat pumps for that I've repaired, and I'm going to run those off solar, and that should give me, I think it's like 7 kilowatts of heating power. So fingers crossed, that will solve my swimming pool heating problem, but we'll see. That's it. I'll see you on the next one.